Hello and welcome to HBM's Crypto Corner for Wednesday, September 26th, 2018. Gosh, September is just about over. We're coming up into October, coming up on Halloween, cooler temperatures. I love this time of year myself. Anyway, we got a few news items to talk about, so let's get to them. Apparently there was a recently rediscovered letter from Davy Crockett. He may have encountered a Sasquatch. Supposedly this happened, it was a letter to his brother-in-law. He described the creature as a large ape-like monster. The beast was covered from head to toe with thick fur and had small beady eyes. He recalled huge rows of teeth visible and towering above him. The monster had an incredibly foreboding presence. Davy Crockett claims to have spit out his food in fear at the sight, but perhaps the strangest part of the entire encounter was what the beast did next. Instead of viciously attacking the men, the creature instead had a message. Davy Crockett recounted the warning he received from the monster, returned from Texas, flee this fort, and abandon this lost cause. I don't know. Would a creature be talking to, or would a creature be speaking? Or would a Sasquatch be speaking and speaking English words? Was it what they call, quote unquote, mind speak? Makes you wonder. Now, of course, we know what Davy Crockett's fate was at the Alamo. And apparently he was in the Lone Star State when this happened. I don't know. He had strong Christian values, apparently, and he had an honest reputation, loyalty to his country through military and political service. Could this story be true? I don't believe we'll ever know the answer to that, really, to be quite honest. So, I guess it's up to you guys. Do you believe it or do you not? Yeah, I'm a little bit skeptical about it, but who knows? Right? Stranger things have happened in this world. I was watching Unsolved Mysteries the other morning. It was on Lifetime channel when they reran the segment about the skunk ape, and it featured David Shealy. And I got to thinking about this creature, which is down, of course, in Florida, the Sunshine State. I was born in Jacksonville, Florida, so I'm originally from Florida, but I haven't lived there for a long time. Well, this article is asking, well, what is a skunk ape? I mean, the skunk ape is basically the same thing as Bigfoot, except maybe a little bit shorter. It stinks. These creatures stink more than your average Sasquatch. They're also called the Fouke monster or the Boggy Creek monster, Honey Island swamp monster. Generally considered forms of swamp apes, the creature is often seen darting across back roads, moving through the tree line, wandering into campsites, and foraging through dumpsters. Encounters suggest it is the most aggressive version of North America's Bigfoot. Many stories account for its short temper and willingness to engage humans. There are witnesses who claim they've been attacked by the skunk ape down in Florida. Now, this is, of course, one of the most famous photographs of any sort of anomalous entity. And this is one of the May-HBM ape photographs. Could that be an orangutan, an escaped orangutan, or could it actually be a real skunk ape? Or could it be possibly a hoax? I've often wondered about that. The lady that sent this photo in to the local sheriff's office requested anonymity. In fact, she didn't even sign the letter that she wrote to them. She just sent these photographs. Lauren Coleman's eventually got a hold of them, and he looked at them, and he thought, well, these could be credible, possibly. And he wrote about them in his book, Bigfoot, The True Story of Apes in America. Skunk ape lives in remote areas of the Everglades of Florida. Most hairy humanoid creatures found below Kentucky and east of eastern Texas are considered skunk or swamp apes. Encountered in the swamp or not, this live creature is indeed the southern fried Bigfoot. Compelling accounts have come from practically all of the southern states, most notably Sam Houston State Park in Texas, Mayaca River State Park in Florida, Everglades National Park in Florida, and Fouke, Arkansas. And some of this evidence, there's this supposed, don't know what this could be. Is it a guy in a suit wandering through the Lettuce Lake region? There was something I saw not too long ago about a possible skunk ape that was being filmed by a camera phone, or a phone with a camera. I think it was what was it? It was Monstrous Mysteries in America, I think, or Bigfoot in America. It was one of those two programs that I saw, and they were talking about this footage that was taken with a camera phone a few years ago. And in fact, I think that footage was shown on Finding Bigfoot. I believe when they went to investigate Florida for, I think it was the second time or third time, they looked into this particular bit of footage. It's very interesting footage. Of course, there's also a series of photos that was taken by David Shealy. They examined that on Unsolved Mysteries, the Unsolved Mysteries segment about the skunk ape. So, I don't know. I mean, there's some interesting bits of evidence, supposed evidence, of these creatures, but is the evidence any good? I mean, do these creatures really exist in the swamps of Florida? Who knows? But there have been many reports, and hey, I mean, if these things are truly skunk ape or swamp apes, then there's a possibility they could be living in those very swamps. They could be living in areas in the southern United States. So, like they said at the end, like they said near the end of Legend of Boggy Creek, keep a sharp eye on the woods as you pass through the. I'm kind of paraphrasing what was actually said. Keep a sharp eye on the woods. You may just catch a glimpse of a tall, hairy creature watching you from the shadows. Well, since Halloween is coming up, here's an interesting article: the 10 best Bigfoot costumes on the market. And we have several of them represented here. So, there are plenty of epic Sasquatch suits, but these will take your evening up a few notches. But only a few of them are actually marketed as Bigfoot. I think we can all agree that this mythic being is some form of upright hairy ape or hairy man. Thus, I've included ape-inspired costumes in the pageant as well. Why not? Isn't that what Bigfoot is? A gorilla standing up, I don't think your friends will mind the deception. As long as there's one Bigfoot costume in your group, you'll enjoy a successful night. So we have these very interesting costumes to choose from. We have this one. This is a pretty interesting costume. And they also have links where you can purchase your own Bigfoot costume. We got this one. That's okay, I suppose. Not that bad, I guess. There's an interesting one. This is more of a, I think, is this a gorilla? Not sure what this is. And they apparently have it in more than one color, as you can see. Now here's something interesting. This illusion costume. This is interesting. The Bigfoot has the human in the cage, or the plastic bamboo cage. That's very interesting. That's kind of a cool looking costume. Kidnapped by a gorilla prank. I like that. Char squash. Here's one. This is interesting. You can kind of see that's a interesting face, I suppose. I like this one. Caged up Sasquatch suit. Yep. Bigfoot from another planet. Makes it look more like an alien type Bigfoot. Contestant number 8, Littlefoot. Look at this. That's pretty interesting. Looks like Littlefoot is carrying a big human on its shoulders. Piggyback, yeah. Okay, and then gorilla face. This is obviously a gorilla costume. That's pretty interesting. And I wonder, does it come with the banana? Probably not. Banana's probably sold separately. And we have Harry Jerry. I believe this is also another. I don't know if it's a gorilla costume or if it says it's a Sasquatch suit. But it looks more like a gorilla costume. It's carrying a banana. I don't think it comes with the banana, but still. And there's various, what do you call it, reviews on these particular costumes. We also have this, the winners. Winner, scariest Bigfoot costume is the Char Squatch. Most comfortable or the funnest is Littlefoot. The best overall suit runner-up is the gorilla face. Then this one, Squatch Nasty, is the overall best suit. So, I mean, I guess you have several. You have at least 10 costumes to choose from if you decide to dress up as America's favorite hairy hominoid for Halloween. Just don't go in the woods with that costume on. Somebody might mistake you for a real creature. So be careful. Now here's something very fascinating. You probably all saw this if you watched that special Bigfoot Captured a few years ago, which was on History Channel. But I remember seeing Jeff Meldrum discuss this in 2014 at the second Yakima Bigfoot Roundup. And that was the proposed Sasquatch skeleton made out of 3D. It's 3D printing process. They use, I guess, they use bone, or not bone, they don't use bone, they use plastic for the bones. And Jeff Meldrum was responsible for this. And he says he disapproved of the Bigfoot Captured program. He said this was a fantastic project, however. And as you can see, I mean, that's very, very, look at that. Very interesting. I imagine that took quite a lot of man hours to put that together. So, I mean, and look at the, I like the bone structure of the proposed head and the face. I mean, yes, it's speculative, obviously, but I mean, just imagine if you find something like this out in the forest. Of course, the chances of that are, I don't know, they're kind of zilch to none of actually finding something like this in the woods, because dying animals tend to retreat to areas where they know somebody's not going to just stumble across them. Or other animals could stumble across them and eat their remains. But yeah, this was a really great effort put together by Dr. Meldrum. As I mentioned, he actually talked about this at first at the second Yakima Bigfoot Roundup. That was where I saw it for the first time. Saw the photo that the photos that he had of this. So yeah, good stuff. Our final news item. You saw the story I put up about about the skull the skeleton reconstruction. Well, there was a reconstruction that happened several years before that. It was by Dr. Grover Krantz, who put together a speculative recreation of the Gigantopithecus skull. As you can see, this is a mandible, and it's only the tooth-bearing part. What he had was he had a copy of a Gigantopithecus mandible, and he made this reconstruction based on. And again, it was speculative, as I mentioned, but very interesting nonetheless. You can see it's compared to a adult male gorilla and a human skull. Okay, this says Dr. Krantz died in 1992. No, actually he died in 2002. He did not die in 1992. He wrote his book in 1992, but he didn't pass away in 92. He passed away in 2002. But this article talks about, I guess, Grover Krantz's recreation or reconstruction of what a Gigantopithecus skull might have looked like, and of course, Grover Krantz was a major proponent of that this may indeed be what the Sasquatch is, that it may indeed be Gigantopithecus, just continuing today. So, and of course, I highly recommend Dr. Grover Krantz's book, Big Footprints, or its revised edition, Bigfoot Sasquatch Evidence. I can't help but continue to say that I think that well, let's see, look, it says right here, who died in 2002. Then it says right here, Dr. Krantz died in 1992. So apparently there was a bit of a mistake there. No, he wrote his book in 1992, as I mentioned. But I think that the efforts and the research of individuals like Grover Krantz, Jeff Meldrum, John Bindernagel, Henry Fehrenbach, and others should be highlighted and should be well represented. So, because without the scientific view, of course, I think I mentioned John Bindernagel, the late Dr. John Bindernagel. So I hope that we don't just neglect and forget the role that science plays in this. So anyway, that's it for this week. Next week's going to be a very special edition of HBM's Crypto Corner. We're going to talk about 60 years of Bigfoot. In other words, 60 years of the name Bigfoot and where it came from, the origins of the name. We're going to talk about Jerry Crew, because he knew what to do. And we're going to discuss the happenings that occurred 60 years ago next week, which brought Bigfoot into the mainstream of consciousness of the American landscape. So be tuning in for that. That's going to be next Wednesday as always. And thank you guys for tuning in once again. And till then, y'all be good or be good at it. This has been HBM's Crypto Corner.